The reality is, it's hard to be a parent and an entrepreneur and someone who's trying to grow a business at the same time. I mean, you're trying to grow your business, you're trying to make more profit, you're trying to service the people you want to service and give them a great result. You're trying to have some fun because, well, you started your business because you thought it was going to be fun. And at the same time, you're trying to raise children to be productive human beings. And that's a lot of demands on your time. And I think a lot of parents go through the same thing and they don't talk about it. We don't talk about, oh, we're trying to grow a business. We're trying to raise kids. It's hard to do both because it feels like you're juggling all of these balls at the same time. And while you're trying to juggle those balls, you're walking across the floor covered in Legos. So you're not alone. Just about every parent who's trying to grow a business is facing the same struggles. And I think time management tends to be one of the things that we struggle with the most. And we all know why this matters so much, because you've got demands on you from your business and your clients, and you've got demands on you from your family and your children. And sometimes they intertwine and sometimes they spiral out of control. And when time management spirals out of control, everything suffers, not just your business, but your family and your children, and everything suffers when you're not able to manage your time properly, right? And you got to find a solution to this, because if you don't find a solution and you can't manage your time, then you're going to miss out on everything. You're going to miss deadlines. You're going to miss opportunities inside of your business. You're going to miss milestones with your children. And the reality is you've got to find a solution to this, because if you don't, stress levels are going to rise, productivity is going to go down, you're going to miss milestones that are happening with your children. Managing your time effectively will make the biggest difference in you being able to go after those aspirations that you have, but also tend to the needs of your children and your family. So let's break this down into 3 elements that are going to make time management more manageable. Those 3 things are prioritization, efficiency, and flexibility. Prioritization is probably one of the hardest ones to get your arms around, because it means you're going to have to place something before something else. Now, you can only have one priority that you're working on at any one time by the definition of the word priority, but prioritization is the process of saying, okay, this is important, I got to do this now, and something else is going to have to wait until I get this done. And prioritization is going to span every area of your life, not just your business and your family, but your physical fitness, your mental capabilities, your social contributions, your spiritual community, if you have one. Prioritization comes into play everywhere. So how do you decide what's important to do right now? And when you have children, and when you have a spouse, and when you have the demands of those kids and the milestones that they're hitting, well, it's more important than ever to be able to prioritize things. And the hard truth is that at some point, something is going to have to take a back burner to something that needs to go onto the front burner. And that might mean that you're going to go on a school field trip because your kid really wants you to be there, and something with your business is either going to have to be deprioritized, or you're going to have to shift the focus of that to some other time. And the hard reality is that might mean you're working late at night while everybody else is asleep, so that you can get the stuff done and still have the time to do the things with the kids, because the kids want you to do those things. And yeah, you're probably going to be tired, but nobody goes into parenthood thinking that it's going to be a breeze and it's just going to be a chill fest, a Swiss picnic where you get to relax all day long. It doesn't work that way. So if you're going to be a responsible parent and you're going to be a responsible business owner, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And those sacrifices might look like not being able to go out and socialize like you used to do before you had kids, or it might mean you're getting a little less sleep for a while. Now, look, I'm not going to tell you that you need to sleep like 2 or 3 hours a day. That's no badge of honor. You got to be well rested to be able to perform well in your business. But at the same time, sometimes 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night is the only time where you're going to have that quiet time to get stuff done. I've got 4 kids. And I remember when they were babies, what it was like having to hold them and nurture them and make sure that they stayed alive and didn't put stuff in their mouth that they weren't supposed to put in their mouths, and whatever it is you do to keep little kids alive. But it was like a 24-hour-a-day job. If they fell asleep even for a little while, well, I'm going to get back to work so that I can keep growing my business. And you might have to do the same thing. And you've got to come to terms with the fact that, yeah, you're going to have to make sacrifices so that you can prioritize what's important. Look, if you're watching this channel, it's because you have a business and you want to grow that business. You're not here because you're dabbling around and trying to get dabbling results. We're trying to make real impact here. We're trying to grow a business. We're trying to make more money, help more people, and have fun, because that's what we wanted to do when we started our businesses. So making those sacrifices is going to give you the time that you need to make that stuff happen. I don't know about you, but what's important to me is that I'm not missing the milestones that are happening with my kids, because I work here. This is part of my home, and I'm around. I get to see the first steps and the teeth that fall out naturally, not because they're fist fighting, but I get to see that too. I get to see them come home in the afternoon from school and come running in here to show me whatever little thing they drew on a piece of paper that day and tell them how cool I think it is. I'm here to help them with their homework, and I'm here to listen to their struggles and hear about their achievements and be at their sporting events. But that's why we do what we do, so that we can have that freedom and that flexibility. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about freedom for a second. You started your business because you wanted a level of freedom. Well, how much freedom do you think you really have? Because that freedom that you're seeking comes at a cost. It comes at the cost of maybe sacrificing the time at night or the socialization or all the fun stuff that you used to do before you had a family and before you had kids. That sacrifice is payment for the freedom that you have. When I get to go to my kids' school and see them stand up on stage and sing a song or whatever they do, it's part of the freedom that I architected into the plan. No, it's not easy. No one ever said it was. But if we're going to be having real conversations and hard conversations about what it's like to be a parent and to be an entrepreneur or a business owner who's trying to grow, then we got to say the hard stuff. It's not going to be easy to do this. And I don't know how many kids you have if you're watching this. You might have 1, you might have 12. But you've got to figure out how you can prioritize growing your business and seeing all of the great stuff that comes with being a parent. I saw every first step. I can't even imagine having missed out on that. And I want the same thing for you. And of course, it's going to take some experimentation before you figure out the right blend for you, but think about what's most important and try to find ways to either prioritize them and tell everybody else, hey, I got to get this done, or tell everybody else, hey, I got to get this done, or find ways to couple them up and do them together. You know, I think one last point on prioritization, and I think it's the process of writing down your daily goals. That's going to help you out so much. I write down my goals for every day. I actually write them down the night before. It's the last thing I do before I go to sleep. I stay up pretty late. I'm up till midnight or 1 o'clock most days working, because that's my priority, is doing my work when the kids are asleep. But the last thing I do is I write down my goals for the next day. And there's always some goals with the kids in there. So that helps me prioritize when and where I'm going to be directing my focus and directing my time. And so speaking of schedules, it's probably also important to talk about flexibility and why it's important to have flexibility built into your life. Because when you're balancing the juggling act of kids and a family and growing a business, there are always going to be surprises. Now, I hope surprises are only good in your business. I hope you have a lot of beautiful surprises in your business. But a lot of times when it comes to kids, there's a lot of surprises that might not be the most enjoyable. Maybe when you're creating your schedule or when you're looking at your time, having that blank space that can fill in when the inevitable surprises from kids happen. You know, I can tell you this, I'm extremely disciplined when it comes to my schedule with work. I know the what and the where and the how when it comes to all of my clients and my masterminds. But a lot of times I'll get a text from my wife saying, are you going to be at this thing at 4 o'clock today? And I'm like, what are you even talking about? When did you even tell me about this? And of course, she'll say, I told you about this last week and yesterday and this morning. You know, as business owners who are parents, we've got to kind of stick together and we've got to kind of support each other. So if you want to brainstorm with me about some ideas on how you can grow your business and balance your time. I don't know if I'm qualified or not to give you parenting advice. I mean, I've only had 4 of them, but I can definitely tell you I'm qualified to give you some business growth advice. So if you want to brainstorm with me about some things that you can start doing right away to get more clients, there'll be a link somewhere on the screen. Maybe it's here. up there or somewhere. You'll find it. If you just go to that link, you can apply to be on my calendar. This is for people who already have a business, who've already made some sales, and you just want to make more. I'll give you some advice on how to do that, and then we can talk about the goofy stuff our kids do too. Although you don't have to have kids to get on that, but if you've gotten this far in the video, I can't imagine that you don't. So it's for anybody, but you in particular with the kids, you want to chat with me, just go to that link. And let's talk about efficiency, because that's the third component to time management, and being very efficient with your time is part of time management. You know, I often talk in my masterminds about doing things with asymmetry. And what I mean by that is you do one thing that has lasting effects. You build something that works over and over and over again. An example of that in business might be doing the research and creating a really great lead magnet that generates leads for you every day on autopilot. That's one of the big things that we do in the mastermind, is figure that stuff out so that people can be getting leads and selling to those leads in an automated fashion. And that allows them to get new business without having to do all of the hard stuff, because we did all that hard stuff at the beginning. That's time efficiency. I think some people would call that working smarter and not harder. But in my world, working smarter means working harder. You know what I mean by that? You've got to work really hard to make the progress that you want to make. That's the smart choice. There's no easy answer to any of this. Even raising kids, having babies, having young kids or teenagers. There's nothing easy about it. You got to work hard to make this stuff happen. The people who are looking for that easy button, well, they're not going to find it, because that stuff just doesn't exist. So I want to share with you a tip that I use that helps me really connect with my kids, because sometimes I kind of work 7 days a week, and generally on the weekends, if the kids are awake, I'm not working, but sometimes my attention needs to be in here. But it's really important that I make the connection with the kids every single day. And as hard as it might be, having one meal a day where we all sit as a family is a non-negotiable for us. And I know how hard that can be with sports and activities and all the demands. But my word, if you could just find a way to have that one meal a day, if it's breakfast or if it's dinner or on the weekends, if it's anything, if you can just find a way to have that one meal a day. And one little thing that I do that just seems to make this really big impact on the kids is I go to each of them and I ask them what was the smartest thing they did that day. And everybody has something different, but I ask them to share with me where they felt like they did something really smart. And that opens up some really beautiful conversations and allows us to connect really quickly. Oh, I can hear you. I can hear you. How in the world am I going to make that happen? You got to find a way, right? So you got to find a way to make that connection with the kids, because you know what's going to happen? They're going to grow up, and they're going to grow up fast. I see it with I've got one kid who's a teenager. I see it, just how fast it went by. And you might be sitting out there watching this with an infant, or you might have teens, and you know what I'm talking about. It's going to go by fast. So prioritization, flexibility, efficiency, and make that connection with those kids. See those milestones, build in that time, and you'll find that you have a rewarding business that profits and has impact and is fun, and you have that meaningful family relationship. I think it's super, super important. If you decided to have kids and you decided to start a business, you're a special kind of person. So I really do hope you realize that time management is not one of those insurmountable things. You can do this. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And then you'll be able to grow that business. You'll be able to attract those clients and have that great family time that's just waiting for you. And again, if you want to brainstorm about overcoming some of those challenges, and you want to brainstorm about what it's like to have a steady flow of clients coming into your business, I'd love to chat with you. So just hop on the link. I'll make sure it's right here on the video. Just hop on that link and we'll spend a few minutes. I'll ask you a bunch of questions about your business, and then I'll give you some direct guidance and some advice that you can start using right away. Like the thousands of people that I've been able to help over more than 2 decades. I'd love to give you some assistance as well. Hey, heck, maybe you'll want to work with me, or maybe not. Either way, I'm cool with it. Hop on my calendar, and I'll see you in the next couple of days.